From the San Diego Comic Con to Durban Film Mart, there's so much more movie news to share, but I can only share but a few on this episode of the Film Mandates. So, on this episode, the trailer to James Cameron Avatar Fire and Ash is supposed to be screening in front of the film Fantastic Four First Steps. However, the trailer to it has leaked online. We'll be taking a look at the views of those who watch these trailers in the cinema and what they think about it, and talking about trailers screening in front of big tent poles. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey's trailer is screening in front of Universal's Jurassic World Rebirth movie, and it is said that the Odyssey is going to be the biggest blockbuster movie of the year 2026. We'll be taking a look at why this is possible and more. And last but not the least, the Durban Film Mart has awarded some African filmmakers for which some concepts will be developed into a movie. We'll be taking a look at all these stories and more right here on this episode of the Film Mandate. My name is Papa Otu. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Film Mandate, where I bring to you movie news, reviews, and reactions both from the African front and the international scene. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Film Mandate, and I hope you had a blissful weekend. However, I don't know, I mean, over the past days, we had the demise of um, Jamal Malcolm Warner passing on, and then we heard that of Hulk Hogan, the iconic WrestleMania World Champion, also passing on. However, for those of us who also hail from the West African country of Ghana, we've lost a major icon who passed on just this past Saturday, and he is one of the music legend in the person of Charles Kojo Fosu, whose stage moniker is Daddy Lumba. And I bring this not because he's a filmmaker, but I bring this because of how endearing he is to Ghanaians as a whole, one of the most iconic, musician of our time, even starting from way back in the early 90s, from the 80s to the 90s, and he reigned till now. And he unfortunately passed on Saturday. There's an article that I wish I could share, but I think I'll just read it off screen, and it's published. I will leave it. I'll still leave it in the what's it called? I'll still share it um, in the description below, so that if you want to read it further, you can. But this was captured in the Economic Times, that is the Indian Times, and it says that Daddy Lumba, cause of death, Ghana musician, music icon, passes away. Here's what happened to him. So, hip life Ghanaian heartthrob Daddy Lumba is no more. The singer breathed his last on Saturday morning at the Bank Hospital in Cantonment's area of Accra. The family of the musician, through Baba Jamal and Associates, the singer's legal counsel, released a statement saying that in face of the immense loss for the family, they expect privacy. His family and fans are heartbroken. Daddy Lumba FM, that is DLFM, the singer's radio station, in their own statement, called the singer more than a musician and a cultural icon who touched countless lives. With profound sorrow and deep grief, the Fosu family announces the passing of Ghana's beloved music icon, Charles Kojo Fosu, popularly known as Daddy Lumba, who passed away earlier today after a short illness. And by today, it meant Saturday, and that is the 26th, on which he passed on. So it is indeed heartbreaking. A lot of Ghanaians and friends who know him, I mean, who love his songs, are really heartbroken. I had opportunity to, together with BB Mention the Virus, who we I had opportunity to go and shoot a promotional video of his towards an event that he was about. I mean, towards a musical event he was about to perform on, and I had opportunity to shoot that, and that was my first and only time I had opportunity to meet that this musical icon, very huge, larger than life, and it's unfortunate that he is gone, and my hearts and prayers goes to the family of Daddy Lumba, wherever they are. I pray that the good Lord would comfort them in this hard time that they find themselves, and not just his family, but for all the Ghanaians and loved ones all over the world who are heartbroken. I can only but pray and hope that the God will mend those broken hearts, seeing that we've lost such a great icon such as Daddy Lumba. May his soul rest in perfect peace. So yeah, moving on from that to the very first article for today's episode, the trailer, just as I said, to Avatar: Fire and Ash is or have been playing in front of the screening of the Fantastic Four First Steps, and knowing that Fantastic Four First Steps, a Marvel property, and that of Avatar 20th century property as well, all under the parent company of Disney, it is of no surprise that they would want it to screen in front of the movie Fantastic Four First Steps. And for James Cameron and Christopher Nolan, they've always advocated for the cinema going culture. So it is of no surprise that following in the footsteps of what the Odyssey have been doing, and that is by screening the trailers in the cinemas for some time alone before it will be finally released online, they followed in that same pattern. However, the trailer was leaked online, even though now no traces of it can be found because it looks like Disney have found a way or have been able to clamp down on all those sites or accounts that may have shown it. So let's take a look at an article published in the Hollywood Reporter that talks more about that circumstance. So in the Hollywood Reporter, Avatar: Fire and Ash trailer leaks online. James Cameron returns with fiery stunner. The follow-up to The Way of Water teases a spectacular epic that includes volcano fights, family tragedy, and intense action. Fan reactions are over the top. Yep, another billion to James Cameron, and this is written by James Hyberd. So there's, I think, a screenshot from I'm sure from the movie itself. But let's read the article. It says that the action-packed first trailer for James Cameron's next Avatar fantasy epic has leaked online, and the footage looks spectacular. Disney has released the trailer for Avatar: Fire and Ash exclusively in theaters in front of Fantastic Four First Steps, and just like with Christopher Nolan's only in theaters trailer for the Odyssey earlier this month, grainy unauthorized copies have begun to circulate online. Disney is clearly trying its best to cut down on the viral spread. The Fire and Ash trailer has been a bit tougher to find, no lens, with copies being taken down almost as fast as they pop up. It says, needless to say, reaction from moviegoers who watched the trailer in theaters on Friday has been effusive. Fans cite the site of the sci-fi said the trailer looks incredible. Another raved that the trailer was some of the most beautiful footage I've seen all year, and I was struck by the real sense of doom and rage. Fist fights inside of cosmic volcanoes, heroes terrified, huge aerial battles. While another entertainment writer wrote, the trailer started as a meh, more of the same, and ended up with yap, another billion to James Cameron. And a film critic wrote, the visuals are somehow on another level. There is no doubt in my mind that this will be the biggest of movie of 2025, and Epic doesn't feel like it does this trailer justice. The trailer returns with Pandora and introduces two new tribes, the Wind Traders and the Fire Hailing Ash People clan. The footage shows trailer spoilers here, if that's a thing. Jake Sully or Jake Sully, Sam Worthington, his partner Nitiri, uh, played by Zoe Saldana, and his Navi family engaged in intense aerial fighting with the Ash People clan. There's also the return of the sinister Colonel Miles Quaritch, Stephen Lang, now sporting dramatic white, black, and red war paint, suggesting he might have made an alliance with the Ash People. At one point, a captive Kiri, Sigourney Weaver's character, is told by a new villain, Varang Ona Chaplin, your goddess has no dominion here. While Sully warns Neytiri, we cannot live like this, and is taken captive and paraded before the Pandora occupation forces. And young Spider Jack Champion seems like he's in a jeopardy quite a bit. The first Avatar, released in 2009, became the highest grossing film of all time, raking in $2.9 billion globally. The first sequel, 2022's The Way of Water, charted as the third highest grossing movie of all time with $2.3 billion, beating expectations and silencing doubters that the Oscar winner could pull off another Avatar blockbuster. At this point, few doubt Cameron's ability to generate massive box office returns with the Avatar franchise, and confidence is high that Fire and Ash will deliver when it's released as a major holiday tentpole on December 19th. While a runtime hasn't been yet announced, Cameron has teased that Fire and Ash will be a bit longer than The Way of Water. The last film was 3 hours and 12 minutes. In a nutshell, we had too many great ideas packed into Act 1 of Way of Water. Cameron recently said the film was moving like a bullet train and we weren't drilling down enough on character. So I said, guys, we've got to split it. Fire and Ash will actually be a bit longer, a little bit longer than Way of Water. So Cameron also, yeah, so Cameron plans Avatar films, 5 Avatar films, and has said he intends to direct them all as well. Much of the footage Cameron has said has already been shot. Avatar 4 is set for December 21st, 2029, and Avatar 5 will arrive December 16th, 2031. Cameron also hopes to adapt the Charles Pellegrino books of Ghost of Hiroshima and Last Train from Hiroshima as soon as his Avatar schedule permits. The film would focus on the true story of a Japanese man during World War II who survived the atomic blast at Hiroshima as well as the explosion in Nagasaki. If it comes to fruition, it would mark Cameron's first non-Avatar film since 1997's Titanic. Fire and Ash cast members include Zoe Saldana, Sigourney Weaver, Britton Dalton, Jack Champion, Trinity Jolie Bliss, Stephen Lang, Giovanni Ribisi, Eddie Falco, Brendan Cowell, Matt Gerald, Kate Winslet, Cliff Curtis, Bailey Bass, Jermaine Clement, and David Thewlis. The official description of Fire and Ash, Jake and Netiri's family grapples with grief after Neteyam's death, encountering a new aggressive Navi tribe, the Ash people, who are led by the fiery Varang, as the conflict on Pandora escalates and a new moral focus emerges. Disney had no comment on the leak. So yeah, it is indeed massive. From the description of the trailer by those who have seen them online, it seems to be something blowing their minds, and it is quite amazing how I mean, you can't bet against James Cameron. If you do, you are likely to lose. I mean, he's been I mean, in terms of box office records, he is one that keeps on setting those records. And most often there was a time when he sets his own records, he breaks them. He did it with Titanic after having set a, Titanic record, which made around $2.1 billion. He came to overthrow Titanic with his film Avatar, the very first one, and that blew everything out of the water to $2.9 billion. Yes, I think at a point in time it was around 2.7, and with some re-releases, it pushed it further to 2.9. And he's been doing the same. Even though the Russo brothers did break just for a brief moment the record on Avatar came back to take back the first position. So, he always happens to sometimes spend the most huge, humongous budgets on movies, but for some reason, seems to be a safe bet who always makes those monies back and more for the studios he works for or he produces these movies for. So, it is of no surprise that those who are seeing or who have seen these trailers are saying that, listen, from what you have seen of the footage, this movie is going to hit a billion. The problem is not whether it will hit a billion. A billion is assured. The question would be whether it can overtake any of those films that he's already made records in. So whether it's going to overtake Titanic, whether it's going to overtake the second Avatar, or even possibly can he break his own record on the total box office record? Because currently he is at number one with with Avatar. Can he overtake Avatar with that? Let's perhaps delve in a little bit into what some of these, some of those who have seen the trailers are saying. Maybe that will give us a fair idea as to what he has in mind. So let me just bring up this web page that shows. Yeah, let me bring up this web page so that you see the reactions yourself. Yeah, so on this web page published in the Metro, I think, pardon me, it looks like, yeah, so on this, pardon me, it looks like, yeah, yeah, so, yeah, so a quick one. So critics, so this publisher in the Metro, it says critics breathless over phenomenal first Avatar Fire and Ash trailer ahead of imminent release. So if you go, this published on July 23rd, those who saw it in the cinemas. Let me just jump straight to, so this actually happens to be the first official poster that have been released for the Avatar Fire and Ash. But if you go down further, you have Austin Beck, who says that I have seen the trailer for Avatar Fire and Ash, and it is stunning, as anyone is anticipating. James Cameron once again looks to be unleashing a powerful story that will resonate, and the visuals are somehow on another level. There is no more doubt in my mind that this will be, I'm sure, it's going to say a billion or something, but it's definitely going to be a hit. I just experienced the Avatar. That's by Liam of Liam T. Crowley. Says that I just experienced the Avatar Fire and Ash trailer in glorious 3D. I'm breathless. Visuals expectedly surreal, but man, is the Ash people's landscape something to behold. Pandora Civil War loading. What a privilege it is to be alive during this revolutionary franchise. That is, at Screen Rant. So yeah, and that is the title. Yeah, that's the title card for Avatar Fire and Ash. If you, Tori Brazier says that had a sneak peek at this Avatar Fire and Ash trailer last night in 3D, and James Cameron has me convinced all over again. Phenomenal, tremendous visuals, new antagonist Varang may become my next obsession. Nothing convinced me Avatar 3 won't be bigger and better than the last. So These are people who happen to see it in full view in the cinemas, not the grainy ones that leaked online. Even for those who saw the grainy ones that leaked online, they are praising it that much. How much more those who saw this? So definitely, one thing with James Cameron's films, particularly with the Avatar franchise, that it's a spectacle to behold in the cinemas. Particularly with the first one, if I'm not mistaken, when it released in the cinemas, it made around, I think the first opening weekend was around 70 million in the North American box office, and then with it had long legs before you realize it kept going up, and it crossed $2 billion so easily. So it is amazing that perhaps even those who may not be so enthusiastic about it, but were convinced by the second one, will be trooping into the cinemas and may end up being the evangelist for James Cameron's movie that is in the third sequel for the movie. And James Cameron is an adept scriptwriter. He's able to bring in character dynamics. The chemistry between characters and family are always phenomenal. For those who happen to attend some of the industry events and saw some of the footage, like that of is it the CinemaCon, they praised the little footage they saw in there was amazing. So I'm not surprised that those who have seen these trailers indeed are so excited. I mean, there's still more, but I will leave it in the comment section below so that the description section below, so that you can take a look at all of them. It is quite fascinating. It's quite fascinating. So, I mean, there's no wonder or there's no doubt to the fact that James Cameron's film Avatar Fire and Ash will be doing very, very well. There's no doubt about it now. The only question now is, will it cross the $3 billion mark? Perhaps that's the only biggest hurdle in its way, whether it will be able to beat it. But regardless whether it's able to beat it or not, what matters is that we all hope that it's going to be a good story, even better than the one and two. And that is what we are looking out for. So let me know your thoughts on this Avatar Fire and Ash trailer. If you happen to see it, leave it in the comment section below. I didn't get opportunity to see it before it was taken down. But if you have seen it, whether in the cinemas or you've seen it online, anywhere, let me know your thoughts on the trailer and whether you think this would be better, even far better than the one and two. Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. So moving on from one major tentpole to another tentpole is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. And for those who have been paying attention to the news, Christopher Nolan and Universal have been actually selling tickets to the Odyssey 1 year ahead before even the movie finally opens. And as a result, a lot of people have been buying tickets crazily, filling up the IMAX theaters even way before 2026. And already, because of that fervor and then euphoria around all this film, which is an event film as it stands now, BBC has published an article saying that Christopher Nolan, Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is already going to be the biggest 2026 film. So, and why perhaps Christopher Nolan may be the only one to make that happen. So let's take a look at this article published in the BBC about 2 days ago. And then your short is Odysseus himself, and that is Matt Damon playing that role. So Christopher Nolan's adaptation of Homer's The Odyssey has taken the unusual step of selling some tickets a year early. Is it a way forward for beleaguered studios or just a stunt? Marketing campaigns for summer blockbusters have traditionally kicked in around 6 months before release. But one film not playing by these rules is Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, his much discussed take on Homer's epic, starring Matt Damon, Zendaya, Tom Holland, Lupita Nyong'o, and many more. Earlier this month, more than a year in advance of its 17th July general release date, a teaser trailer started showing in cinemas. And then on 17th July itself, in an unprecedented move, tickets went on sale for opening weekend screenings in IMAX 70 millimeter, pardon me, Nolan's preferred format for all his films. Less than a day after those tickets were made available, most of them were sold out, and scalpers were reselling them for upwards of $200. It's a testament to Nolan's remarkable pulling power that he, along with IMAX and Universal Pictures, has been able to get audiences flocking to buy tickets for a film this far in advance when it hasn't even finished shooting yet. And specifically, it's got fans excited about seeing it in 70 millimeter, a traditional large-scale film stock known for providing a matchless visual experience, which was developed in the 1950s and has been making a comeback in recent years thanks to filmmakers including Quentin Tarantino, Paul Thomas Anderson, and Ryan Coogler. Earlier this year, Coogler urged people to see his hit vampire thriller Sinners in this same film gauge, but without the dramatically timed ticket sale release to boot. So, indeed, entertainment journalist Tatiana Arrington thinks that the success of IMAX screenings of Sinners may have played into the thinking behind the Odyssey's unique sales strategy. I feel like there was such a charge for IMAX screenings of Sinners that Hollywood couldn't help but see the success of that. She tells the BBC, and with the Odyssey being a film that everybody is looking forward to, the team behind it must have thought, how can we maximize on that even further? This latest strategy slots into Nolan's ongoing mission to encourage audiences into cinemas by making films into a real event. And the Odyssey has a winning combination of huge star power and a universally recognized story that motivates people to make that happen. As Arrington says, the kids like Zendaya, the older generations likes Matt Damon. This person likes Lupita. There's something for everybody. A lot of people are into Greek mythology. So studios need to consider creative marketing solutions because they are competing against not only other media content and formats, but changing consumers with shortened attention spans. It comes at a time when theatrical revenues have been on the slide. Last year's US and Canada box office total was 23% down from 2019. The pandemic and the Hollywood strikes have played their part in that. But there is also the rising of the streaming platforms and the fact that many films are now made available to stream mere weeks after opening in cinemas. Studios need to consider creative marketing solutions to hype up film releases because they are competing against not only other media content and formats, but changing consumers with shortened attention spans. Sanjay Singh, founder of film studio Nuku, tells the BBC it's about the best way to get distracted audiences to, as Singh puts it, take action and engage. So yeah, let's read a little bit about this, the strategy, the issues with the strategy. But could any other film replicate such a long tail release strategy, or is Nolan and the excitement around his films an abnormally? I feel like Nolan may be the only person who could get this sort of 1 year in advance ticket sellout type of deal. Nolan fan and Chicago based moviegoer Jack Cunningham tells the BBC, I just don't see that happening with any other filmmakers. There's also an issue of Nolan and other filmmakers championing the high quality viewing experience in IMAX 70mm when accessibility to that format is still so limited. There are currently only 16 cinemas across the US that have the required equipment. Indeed, certain markets don't even have access to cinema to see a film, whether it's in a IMAX 70mm or not. That was highlighted earlier this year when audiences in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where Sinners was set, didn't have an opportunity to see see the film in their own town until a viral call led to a special screening with Kugler in attendance. So there's a lot more about this. Okay, let me just finish it up. So even some Nolan fans are not okay. So additionally, ticket prices for IMAX and IMAX 70mm screenings are significantly higher which can make the emphasis on them for creating bars feel exclusionary, and that's before taking into account, in this case, ticket reselling by scalpers at exorbitant prices. According to Change, that's one of the key issues with this type of ticket rollout right now. Should it be used going forward? If IMAX doesn't use this data to expand its network of screens by selling tickets this far in advance, there's the potential for a reseller market to be created, which could cause early release ticket prices to skyrocket, he says. So, yeah, there's quite an interesting article, very analytical as to whether any other filmmaker can replicate this success of Christopher Nolan. And I quite agree to that fact. It, one thing with Christopher Nolan's films is that it's almost an event. Even the one that didn't do well as a result of the almost Warner Brothers releasing it in terms of day and date release, of which he fought against it vehemently, is Tenet. And he even released Tenet in the heat of the pandemic, right after the pandemic. He was the first to have released a tentpole movie right after the edge of the pandemic. And for that one, it didn't perform well, but he believed in the cinema going culture so much that he risked it to make that happen. And I'm sure that even with that film, a lot of people were like, they didn't really get the I wouldn't say a lot, but some people didn't connect well to the movie Tenet, and funny enough, because of that, it might have caused it to not sell that much tickets as it should. But I think the larger problem around that time was because of the pandemic. But beyond that, one of the very advantageous thing with Nolan's film is its rewatchability. One That's one thing you can't do away with Nolan's film. His films are always films that you would want to watch it more and more, and it has so much layer stories that the more you watch it, the more you even unbox some aspects of it that perhaps you didn't originally understand. And for this property, that is the Odyssey, a Greek mythology, which happens to be a very popular, should I say, even IP or story or poetry, it definitely has already an inbuilt audience to it. And just as the article said, the movie is positioned so strategically that I don't know whether that was what he had in mind even before making it. But you have this cream de la cream of stars, ranging from different generations of filmmakers, even to different demographics. So the possibility of it drawing a lot of audiences to go and watch it is high. Perhaps that might have informed them in making this happen. But I'm sure one of the key reasons for Nolan to have perhaps agreed to this would be that he wants to perhaps secure as much as possible all the IMAX 70 millimeter screenings. He's been an advocate for the big screen, particularly in 70 millimeter formats. And I think perhaps that's what he wants to do. And besides that, this would be the very first film ever shot entirely from beginning to end with the IMAX 70 millimeter camera, not the IMAX certified camera, but the IMAX 70 millimeter camera. So I'm sure for IMAX themselves, they perhaps might have pushed for this as well, because that would also be a way of advertising what they could do with their cameras as well. And I think that is a good strategy for them as a company to let other filmmakers know that, listen, if you want to shoot for a premium large screen, you need to use the IMAX cameras. I'm sure that is what they are excited about this. And it looks like right after this, there are other films which will be entirely shot in the IMAX cameras themselves. Some films are shot with IMAX certified cameras. Other films are also shot such that only some few scenes are actually shot with the IMAX. But for this particular film, then Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, his his from the very get-go, his mindset was to shoot it entirely in IMAX, and they have achieved that. So I can understand why perhaps they have pushing for this strategy because if you can realize, if you check it correctly, the tickets are not being sold for the entire cinema screens that exist, only for this pre or 1 year ahead early ticket selling is actually for just the IMAX 70 millimeter screen, not even the 35 or talk about a 60 millimeter, just for a 70 millimeter screen. So the very large premium format of the IMAX screens themselves. So I think it's also a marketing strategy for IMAX themselves. I'm sure they might have even suggested it or agreed to whatever whoever might have suggested that they should go about this way, and it is indeed good. So I'll be interested to know how much they have made out of these selling the original pricing so far, because it looks like scalpers are taking advantage of this to resell it to make a little more back of it. Whether that is ethical or not, that I cannot explain. But I think it is indeed, this indeed points to how powerful Christopher Nolan is as a filmmaker. Not just an auteur-driven film, but he is a star in his own right with regards to the products he churned out in terms of the films, from the Interstellars to even the Dark Knight trilogy to um, all every film that he has ever done has a box office draw to it. Critically is good, and he's never reproduced a film that has flopped. All his films, and maybe some films may not have performed well, like Tenet did in the box office, but even critically, it's still hailed. So he's been a box office draw and a powerhouse when it comes to storytelling. And obviously, I'm not surprised that he has pulled this thing so successfully, this marketing, this selling of tickets of the IMAX so successfully. So I don't know about you, but I'm excited about it because I like films to have that the fervor and euphoria around it, because if it does so well, it will encourage other filmmakers to also want to, rise their craft to the standard that Christopher Nolan has set for the film industry. So let me know your thoughts about this. Are you excited about the Odyssey? What do you think about these tickets being sold a year in advance? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Last but not the least, the Durban Film Mart event was wrapped up in July 17th, and it had to feature a lot of African professionals who attend, not just African professionals, but a numbers of about 1,600 people who attended the event over that past weekend. And in an article published in the is a News Ghana, it reads that Durban Film Mart celebrates African cinema with major awards, and this written by Roger A. Agana, published on July 25th, 2025. So there in your short are a number of those who won some award or some accolades with regards to their work, whether completed or concept-wise. So let me read the article. It says that the 16th Durban Film Mart concluded its 2025 edition on July 21st, distributing over 1.5 rand million, 1.5 million rand, that is 80,000 USD, in awards to filmmakers across Africa. Under the theme Bridges Not Borders, Stories That Unite, the event gathered 1,364 industry professionals. So, pardon me, it's actually 1,364 professionals from 63 countries in Durban, spotlighting rising talent and cross continental collaborations. South African productions dominated the Cash Awards, with Michael James' fiction project, The Second Coming, securing three giants, including the National Film and Video Foundation's 100,000 Rand prize. Environmental themes resonated strongly as Cape Verde's documentary Plastic Atlantis claimed 4 awards addressing climate, storytelling, and distribution. Zimbabwe's Golden and Algeria's Climbing the Mountains also earned multiple recognitions for their producers and directors. Participation awards open global pathways, sending winners to major festivals, including Germany's DOK Leipzig, Morocco's FIDA DOC Pan African Writing Residency, and the UK's Sheffield's Doc Fest. Ghanaian talent Alice Johnson received the Freshie Bag Talent Press Award membership, highlighting West Africa's growing influence. Mentorship prizes included Triggerfish's 6-month guidance for Morocco's Aisha Kandicha and Women Make Movies comprehensive support package for Plastic Atlantis. So DFM director Magdalene Reddy emphasized the event's role in strengthening Africa's creative economy. The networks forged here significantly contribute to DFM's enduring legacy. Primary funding came from Durban's Municipal Film Office, with backing from Netflix, the Ford Foundation, and Panavision. The institute now prepares for its 17th edition, continuing to position Durban as a hub for competitive African content. So there you have it. The Durban Film Mart celebrates African cinema with major awards. And I know perhaps people from other parts of the world may say, oh, but 1.5 million rand is nothing, 80,000 US dollars is nothing. Yeah, maybe in other places, maybe nothing, but this is a great opportunity to have talents in Africa to be unveiled or get the little incentive to let them know that, listen, their voices are being heard, their directorial visions are being noticed, are being recognized. So I'm glad that organizations like Netflix and others are lending the support to these filmmakers from the continent. I've always said that African filmmakers have great stories to tell. More often than not, the challenge lies in the fact that they don't have the necessary resources to tell the story in the capacity that they would have wanted to. And most of these funds is just to help them start developing the concept into a full-fledged production. Some, yes, I'm sure, were fully shot and was presented, and they've received the necessary awards to make that happen. But I think this is a step in the right direction, and I'm glad that they've this is the 16th, and they are working on the 17th. So there's still more room for improvement, and I'm praying that as time goes on, a lot of funding and resources will be dedicated to this to make sure that a lot more people may receive this. And even if it's not a lot more, for those whose films or whose ideas are worth it, they will receive the necessary package to have it fully produced and exhibited on the world stage and make someone's dream, a filmmaker's dream from this African continent be realized fully, even from Africa. And I'm happy that South Africa or Durban is making that happen. They are making that happen. You know, funding of films is expensive from the world over, wherever it is, regardless of the fact that some economies may be, may cost less. Yes, definitely. Shooting in Africa, comparatively to perhaps shooting in the state of California, maybe far less, compared to what you do or shoot in California. So it is expected. But then for Africa to receive such support is such a good thing. I'm glad that the Durban is making that happen. Just a couple of, I think, just a couple of episodes ago, I spoke that of another African country doing same, giving I think 3 people some sums of money to make that happen as well. I'm not so certain. I'm blanking out on the country. I think it's either Ivory Coast, one of the francophone countries. They made that happen as well. So it looks like from all over the continent, countries are putting in place initiatives to make sure that filmmakers get the right opportunity, at least giving a hand, a helping hand to make their dreams possible. And I'm glad that South Africa is doing this for the 16th time, and they are working on getting it done the 17th time. I think even in Ghana soon, in August, you also be having the Black Star International Film Festival happening as well, of which they will be bringing together filmmakers from the diaspora and from Africa to expose what so much talent that is still in Ghana and Africa. So I'm glad Durban is doing something great, and it's not going to end there. I'm sure more and more countries before the year ends will do something of this nature to bring the much needed attention to African filmmakers in the continent or on the continent and also in the diaspora. So kudos to Durban for making this happen, and kudos to South Africa for supporting and all those who helped. Kudos to you all. So let me know your thoughts on this particular event that has brought about such much needed attention to these filmmakers. I'll leave the link to the comments in the description section below so that you can have time and read it further. Perhaps there will be even more links to their site to check more, to look out for those whose films will be coming up anytime soon for you to also watch. Take a look at it. So yeah, there you have it. This wraps up my stories for the day, but I'm not yet done because we just came over from the weekend, and having come from the weekend, there are some movies who happen to be screened over the weekend, and I'm sure might have made some money on the box office chart. So let's take a look at the Box Office Mojo website and see what movies are performing well in the North American box office chart. So in weekend, on the 30th weekend, from July 25th to 27th, pardon me, let's take a look at the top 10. So this week, Fantastic Four opened freshly in the cinemas. In the North American markets, the Fantastic Four First Steps, sorry, pardon me, made $118 million. Made $118 million, blowing past their expected, the projected amount of $100 million. So that is how well it has performed, and it's screened in 4,125 theaters, averaging $28,606 per theater, and that's a Walt Disney production under the Marvel banner. So that's really good for them. And Superman is at number two, dropping from number one, and has made $24,860,000, and now has a total domestic amount of $289,501,578. And number three, dropping from number two, Jurassic World Rebirth has made $30 million and has added has made a total domestic of $301,516,440. And number four, from number five, moving up from number five, is F1 the movie, and it has made $6.2 million and a total domestic of $165,551,907. And number five, dropping from number four, is Smurfs, and it has made $5.4 million, and the total gross for that domestic weekend is $22,707,352. And number six, dropping from number three, is I Know What You Did Last Summer, and the horror flick has made $5.1 million and a total of $23,552,006. And number seven, dropping from number six, is How to Train Your Dragon, which made $2.8 million and a total domestic cum of $257,007,615. And number eight is from number seven is Eddington, which has made $1,664,893 and a total domestic of $8,104,585. And number nine, also dropping for the first time in the cinemas, is Oh Hi, which has made $1,115,000 over total cinemas of 866. So yeah. And last but not least, we have The Home, which has made 1 million and 1,100,000, sorry, 1,001,930 dollars. And that's the top 10, not exhaustive, but the top 10 that I'm targeting for the North American market. So the let's quickly check the worldwide box office draw and see what that has for us. So in the yeah, so at the international worldwide box office draw, we still have the top 10. We still have Neza 2 at number one with 1,899,848,247 dollars. And number two, we have Lilo and Stitch at 1,010,557,653 dollars. And number three is a Minecraft movie with 955,149,195 dollars. And number four, we have Jurassic World Rebirth with 718,352,440 dollars. And number five, we have How to Train Your Dragon with 605,906,615 dollars. And number six, we have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning at 591,970,627 dollars. And number seven, F1 the movie has made 509,651,907 dollars. And now joining the number 10 worldwide box office is, for this week actually, is Superman, which has made 502,701,578 dollars. And at number nine, we have Captain America: Brave New World with 415,101,577 dollars. Last but not least, among the top 10, not exhaustive, among the top 10 is Thunderbolts with 382,292,181 dollars. So yeah, this sums up the top 10 movies worldwide box office draw for the films that have screened over the weekend and those that are out but for this year. So yeah, these are the movies that have been performing box office, worldwide. And this wraps up my stories for today. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. Pardon me, I know it's been a lengthy episode, but I thought I need to expose, read entire articles for you to understand and also show you more about the numbers from the box office. So thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I'm really glad to have you joining me week after week with regards to what I'm doing here on the Film Monday. Let me know your thoughts on what I can do to, spice things up a little bit more. So share your thoughts and your ideas in the comment section down below, and I'll very much appreciate it. So thank you so much once again for joining me, and I'll come your way with another episode of the Film Mandate tomorrow. My name is Papa Otu. I'll see you soon.